welcome back to True Crime Metrix. How you doing? We are continuing on our long slog through the weeds, through the Daniel Rashbaum weed. You know that joke about the Fakawi tribe? the 3-foot tribe that live in 4-foot grass and run around shrieking with a Fakawi. Seems fitting for Daniel Rashbaum. How did we get onto that? Just because he's so short. Anyway, we're going through more of this again. I'm so looking forward to getting over it. But who knows? We might find more golden nuggets. We usually do. At least one or two, right? Welcome everybody in the chat. Amy, Pinto, and others. Deb H, Newly, Jen, and everybody. John Duncan, Mary, hello. Yeah, so I've cut this down. I think I've cut it down. Did I cut it down? Did the export happen? It did. Fantastic news. Great, so we can use our local file. Yeah, I cut this down. Still not got through the whole day. So, but there's only about half an hour left at the end of the day. Where is it? I love that Sarah Dugan's chosen to wear her Blues Brother outfit today. It's Charlie Adelson's favorite film. I mean, not a lot of people know this, but that is the reason that he had a unmarked or an ex-police car with the radio and everything inside, because of the Blues Brothers. He thought he was a blues. Don't you think Sarah Dugan would look great with the hat and shades as well?
Everyone may be seated. The state's objection to the exhibit is sustained. You may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. You had an opportunity to review your text messages from June 2nd to June 7th, 2014.
Yes, I have.
Anything in those text messages out of the ordinary?
No.
So most of what we went through yesterday was just Charlie Adelson setting the scene, character building, normal guy, approachable guy, definitely not involved in any shady money deals, just saved up hard and, paid for stuff with a credit card and collected cash, large sums of cash in a refrigerator safe. So much cash that he had to store it in $1,000 bundles. And it still took ages to count. But he is approachable to any Tom, Dick, or Harry in Tallahassee. What else happened yesterday? It was all kind of a blur, really. Not much talking about the case. I mean, he started to talk about his relationship with Katie and how that he wasn't considering marriage. He spoke a bit about what he thought about Professor Markel, that he was just like any other person his sister would date. So, nothing out of the ordinary. Certainly didn't have any super vendetta against him or anything like that. No. Where are we going today, Daniel Rashbaum?
There are text messages about what types of subjects?
Work, personal life. Just
Anything about a first attempted murder in Tallahassee?
No, not at all.
Anything about any sort of violence?
No, not at all.
Anything about any sort of panic?
No, not at all.
I want to talk briefly about July 1, 2014. And just kind of to give you a roadmap, in March, you had dinner with your sister, correct?
Yes, at Yarborough.
And we've learned that at that dinner, Sigfredo Garcia thought about killing you.
Yeah, he was stalking me with Luis Rivera.
And we've learned through this trial that a first attempted murder on Professor Markel's life happened, give or take, 6 weeks later.
Daniel Rashbaum loves this line, doesn't he? He loves framing the Yardbird stalking thing as Sigfredo Garcia had plans to kill you, didn't he? Oh, you know. So that what? So that Charlie Adelson can seem like this picked on, bullied, privileged. Sigfredo Garcia was not literally planning to run over the Yardbird patio full of diners. Okay, he was not sitting in his truck going, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Start the fucking engine. I'm going full speed into that whole row of dinner tables to murder that guy and my and the mother of my children. You know, it is so not what he's trying to make it out to be, and you can hear that just in the desperation of Daniel Rashbaum's voice, right? You didn't know that at that dinner, the Yardbird dinner, that Sigfredo Garcia had plans to kill you. That's pathetic. He was venting. He was sat in the car with Luis saying, oh man, I'm really pissed off that my woman is banging that guy. There they are. You know what I should do? I should run this truck over the fucking diners. I'm sure I've said things like that and not done it. Well, maybe it is a bit extreme, but he is a fucking street thug.
Yes.
Now let's talk about July 1.
For the record, I don't even think I have said anything like that. That is a bit extreme.
Which is
But it doesn't constitute a literal plan, you fuckhead.
about 3 or 4 weeks after that. By the way, up until July 1, had you ever talked to, texted with, met Sigfredo Garcia?
No, not at all.
What happened on July 1?
July 1, I was going to take Katie jet skiing, and I had the jet ski attached to the car, and I drove to her place in Miami, and I went to pick her up, and I remember it so well. I got flowers right before I picked her up. I bought flowers from the guy selling them in the middle of the street, and I picked Katie up, and we started driving out of her complex, and we got about 200 feet, and this blue car comes flying out of nowhere, flies in front of us, and slams on the brakes. And I've got a car, and I'm towing a 1,200-pound jet ski behind it. And she started screaming, "That's T, that's T, that's T." And I'm like, I almost rear-ended this car. And this guy gets out of the car, and he comes over, and he's...
Does the weight of the jet ski add anything to this story? It's a jet ski. I have no idea how much a jet ski would weigh. I think they're actually quite light, aren't they? They need to float.
Screaming every kind of four-letter word at me, threatening me. His face was real red. My windows were up. And the guy was going crazy. And, I'm kind of a little bit boxed in because...
I don't believe this story, for the record. I'm trying to think back to all the various occasions that it's been mentioned. Katie does go into it in her supposedly mostly truthful testimony in this trial. Why would she Why would she agree with this, what seems to be a lie? I mean, I just know what Charlie looks like when he's not recounting a real event, and he looks like this. It was a 1,200-pound jet ski, and it was on a trailer. He was screaming every four-letter word at me. My window was up. You know, when he says window is up, that sounds like a detail that he's putting in to make it sound like a real story.
And I'm towing a 1,200-pound jet ski behind it, and she starts screaming, "That's T, that's T, that's T," and I'm like, I almost rear-ended this car, and this guy gets out of the car, and he comes over, and he's screaming every kind of four-letter word at me, threatening.
And I don't think Katherine McBanawer would be in a panic about it.
Me. His face was real red. My windows were up. And the guy was going crazy. And, I'm kind of a little bit boxed in because the front of my car was almost against the rear of his car, so I couldn't drive past it. And I had a big jet ski and a trailer behind my car, so
yeah, you said that, Charlie.
Car in reverse, doing like a little bit of a three-point turn, a little bit, swinging the car around. He then got in his car, chased alongside of us, and you can't, if you're...
I would have just loved it if he said, I did a little bit of a K-turn.
Towing a jet ski with a car, you can't go real fast, you don't have much acceleration. He was right alongside of us, rolled his window down, was screaming all this stuff at us.
Fucking A, bro, I'm gonna fucking fuck up whoever fucking with me.
I remember making...
Thank you, Mr. Pinto Peabody Sally. How you doing? Thank you for the coffees on buymeacoffee.com. Yes, and we should add a goal on the chat, because if we raise the stakes, we are taking Metrix on tour to Germany to catch up with our music producer, the one and only greatest man on the black and whites, the greatest man with the 10 digits, Derek Sherinian. Let's set a goal on the chat. We've got about 2 days to make a decision on that. Can we do it? Probably. We could probably just about do it, right? Of course, Soap's going to have to stay in a fucking jail. We're putting you in jail, Soap. I'll only be a couple of days.
A left-hand turn, and I said to Katie, I go, that guy's fucking nuts. And she goes, nuts? She goes, he's really calmed down. And I go, what do you mean he's calmed down? And she goes, the old T I know would have broken your window and dragged you out into the street and beaten your ass.
Now, that evening, by the way, let's talk about, you say T. Did you know Sigfredo Garcia under another nickname as well?
Yeah, well, she referred to him as T or Tuto.
Okay.
Or Sigfredo.
Now, that evening, did your father call you?
Yeah.
And what did your father say to you when he called you, Harvey? What did Harvey say to you when he called you?
He was worried about me.
Why?
Because he got a threatening message on his voicemail, and the guy was saying, something to the effect of, next time I see you, it's going to be mano a mano, don't fuck with me, you don't know who I am, something like that, and then hung the phone up.
Okay. Again, this was July 1, correct?
Yeah.
And this is now 17 days before Professor Markel was murdered, correct?
It was.
So we have Sigfredo Garcia thinking about killing you in March before the first attempt, right?
Yeah.
And now we have him threatening you and trying to run you off the road just 17 days before the actual murder occurred, right?
Yes.
You're aware that the state's theory is that you are co-conspirators with Sigfredo Garcia?
That's their theory.
Now let's go to July 5th.
Yeah, but Daniel Rashbaum, you know, the state's theory is that Sigfredo Garcia didn't even know who they were doing the hit for. That's why Katie was a middle woman who was banging both of them at the same time. So it's not like they were sitting down together planning. And you're aware that this man, this crazy man that wanted you dead, you're aware that the stupid state over there believed that you did this matter together, right? Oh, Daniel Rashbaum, you're such a desperate weirdo.
Your dad's birthday party. By the way, what was served at the birthday party?
We had the paella and the chef there cooking it.
Okay. And how many people?
And the salads and the bunch of desserts. I have never had salad with a paella.
Approximately attended the party?
It was in their apartment. They probably had, let's say, roughly about 30.
Okay. Did you invite Katherine McBanawa to the party?
No, I didn't.
The party was in...
Who has 30 people at a 70th birthday party? I mean, that just seems a lot. You know.
Their apartment, which was where?
But I'm not much for birthdays, really, so...
It was in South Beach. It was in South Miami at the Continuum.
Now, what time did the party end?
It went from probably 7-ish to probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock.
How far is the Continuum in South Beach from your house in Fort Lauderdale?
It's every bit of 45 minutes, depending on traffic.
That evening, where did you sleep?
I slept over at Katie's house
Why did you sleep over at Katie's house?
because my brother was in town for my dad's 70th birthday party with his wife and their kids, and then my sister was in town, and then the whole family was doing stuff the next day, and it was going to be at my parents' house, at their apartment. So I didn't want to drive all the way back to Fort Lauderdale and then all the way back to Miami.
Does Katie live closer to South Beach than your home in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, she's probably 15 minutes away, up to 15 minutes.
And did you go back to your parents' apartment the next day on July 6th?
Yeah, I slept at Katie's place. It was one of only 2 times I probably ever slept there. And then I went back to my parents' place like for lunch the next day.
Did Katie come with you?
No, she did not.
Now, I want to draw your attention to June 16th and a late night work with your assistant, Erica.
Yeah.
Do you recall that?
I do.
I know you're not going to know specific times, but how late did you work with Erica that evening?
We worked till about 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. And what did you do after work?
We'd worked through dinner, so we were both hungry. So me and Erica went to go eat dinner.
And what time did you get home, approximately?
I got home about 11:45.
When you got home, did you speak with Katherine McBanawa?
I did. We texted or I called her.
And during that conversation on the 16th, but it's really the morning of the 17th, I think, because midnight.
Yeah, it was after midnight.
What happened on that call?
Katie was questioning where I was and who I was with, and was saying it was suspicious because I think I ended up calling her probably about 12:30 that night because I came home, changed, took a shower, and then when I finally called her, it was like 12:30. So she thought I was cheating on her.
And was it a heated
Yeah.
discussion?
With Erica, which I've always wondered about personally, if Charlie Adelson was doinking Erica Johnson. There's some weird heat between them. You know? I mean, what is that about? If he wasn't doinking her, he was playing some kind of game with her, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I worked hard all day, You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I went out to dinner with Erica, and like,
I mean, at trial, Erica Johnson was gazing over at Charlie like tourists look at the fucking Mona Lisa in the Louvre.
she was just questioning on who I was with and what I was doing, and she was unhappy with me.
Towards the end of the discussion, what did you agree to do with Katie the next day?
I told her I actually don't. My morning off is canceled. I don't start work until 1:45 tomorrow. I said, if you want, come up here and we'll grab lunch.
And did you have lunch with Miss Magbanawa the next day?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you had lunch with Katherine Magbanawa on the 17th?
She started all over again with like questioning me about the night before, and then she wanted to make plans with me to do dinner on Friday night.
Fucking A, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
got it.
fucking fuck up whoever
She
the
got
fuck
very
you
upset.
fucking with me.
Bo! Yeah, Soap's gonna need to get out on bail. If her Arthur hearing gets granted, she's got a non-bondable offence. Isn't that right, Soap? Okay, thank you so much, Newly Jen, for the coffee on buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. The best place for coffee. Hey, good news, by the way, guys. I finished that disgusting coffee that I bought the other day and I didn't know what it was. And we're back on this one. This is great. This is great. And it's like, it's one of those coffees that's 35% off for like 1 week out of the month. You just have to go the right week and then you can get it for like, real nice. What a difference. What a difference. Don't let anybody tell you there's no difference. There absolutely is a difference.
At me. And she was just like weirdly adamant. Like, this Friday night, I want to do dinner with you. Like, why are you saying you don't know? Like, you don't know you're fine to go do dinner with Erica and not call me till 12:30. And just didn't stop. And we got into a fight at lunch.
So let's take that a little bit slower. So you meet with her on the 17th, and on the 17th, your testimony is that she was adamant that she wanted to have dinner with you on the 18th. Is that right?
Yeah.
And where did she want to have dinner with you?
She wanted to make dinner plans and go down to Miami.
Was that odd?
I mean, it was Friday night. She was my girlfriend, so from that perspective, it wasn't odd. What was odd is that she was so adamant, and when I pushed back on it, there was no push. She was like, started questioning me even more.
Now, where were you going to work on the 18th?
I was working in Jupiter.
Okay. So we're in Tallahassee, so let's just make sure everyone knows where Jupiter is compared to Miami, where Katherine Magbanawa lives, where she wanted you to have dinner.
Jupiter is just up, man. Real up.
How far is Jupiter from Miami?
I would say with no traffic, it's probably two hours.
What is this stuff all around fucking, Cape Canaveral and everything in that little bank of Florida's got to be called a fucking, what do you call it? Astronomical, what's the word? What do you call something that's to do with space? Astronomy, astronomy. Astronomical, right? That's what it is. Satellite Beach, that's where Michael Dunn's from. Jupiter. There's bags of them. There's bags of them.
In 15 minutes, maybe 2:30.
And so, and I might have said the wrong month. We're in July. It's July, not June. July 17th, correct?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. So,
Oh, absolutely, she had a crush on him. But what I'm saying is that if Charlie Adelson wasn't doiking her, he was definitely throwing little flirtations and close vibes her way, so that she would, handle the fucking paperwork. Oh, do you mind just staying an extra hour? Or two, and then we'll go to dinner? He's like, okay, you're getting 3 hot wings from KFC. That's it. And you're eating in the car while I drop you off at the bus station. That's what I meant when I said I would take you to dinner, okay? 3 hot wings, no sauce. No sauce in the car. No sauce in my vehicle. He wouldn't even stretch for a fucking Skyline chili for Erica. 3 hot wings, KFC. Cold.
Why did you want to go all the way back down to Miami, and what did you tell Katherine McVaniel?
Telling Katie I'm going to be in the car for at least an hour and a half driving up to Jupiter. My back kills me when I'm in the car for that long. I got to drive back another hour and a half home. I got 2 offices I'm working in. I got 10 hours of surgery I'm doing. I'm like, I don't even know what time I'm getting out. And she was just like, oh, so it's just going to be another late night and you don't want to see your girlfriend on a Friday night?
And how did the lunch end?
I told her that, I said, you're acting like a bitch. I didn't call her a bitch, but I said she was acting like a bitch.
Yeah, I didn't call her a bitch. I said she was acting like a fucking bitch. I didn't say she was a bitch. I said she was acting like a fucking bitch. Oh, I love it when people do that. There's no difference. There's no difference at all.
And did you leave the restaurant?
Yeah, we had some words, and I put some money down on the table, and we both walked out.
Put some money down on the table. This is what he did, is he fucking threw $400 on the table, made a scene, and stormed off like a little petulant child. That's what really happened.
And I'm like, I got to get to work. I can't deal with this now.
Did you contact her, or did she try to contact you during the day of the 17th, July 17th?
She called me while I was at work around 6:30, but I was still working, and I didn't pick up the call.
When did you speak to her again?
No sides for Erica. Yeah, right. I mean, fucking 3 hot wings is a side, isn't it? They're tiny. Yeah, no, it's just a side. Not even a selection of sides that might, make up what you could call a meal. One side, that's it. No sauce. No sauce in the vehicle.
I was pretty pissed at her, so I didn't call her until after 12 that night. After I came home, I went to the gym, took a shower. I called her after 12.
And when you called her after 12 that evening, did you apologize?
So what he's saying is that they had a fight on the day that everything was going down. That just doesn't seem likely to me. If something as big and risky and tense as a murder for hire is mid-mission, are you going to have a fucking domestic in the middle of that when you're both in on the game? I mean, if it was some, a woman, one of his women that didn't know anything and was giving him shit, I could see that. And I could see him like losing his you're a fucking bitch, throw some money on the table and get the secretary some hot wings. But, if you're both in on it, you just put those differences to one side while we're mid-murder plot and fucking Luis and Sigfredo are up there right now looking for the first opportunity to pull the trigger. You're gonna have a fucking domestic row over bullshit and take your eye off the game when the stakes are that high? It just doesn't seem plausible to me. And you could say, hey, Metrix, the Adelsons do a lot of stupid things. And you'd be right. But why? So is he making this up? Is this all... It's really hard to tell sometimes, isn't it? With the little details. So what would be the benefit? The benefit would be... What? That Katie and Charlie are having problems and she sensed that the relationship was over and that her dreams of being the wife of a rich dentist were in the toilet, so she resorted to this kind of extortion Latin King plot. I mean, yeah, I guess that's it, right? That's why they're trying to demonstrate this to the jury. Because if it were true, they would of course have the option whether to bring it up or not. They're only bringing up things that they think are helpful. And most of those things are made up, probably including this thing about Charlie and Katie having some fucking domestic rows over bullshit on murder day. And the day before murder day. Which could have been murder day for all they know. I mean, Sigfredo and Luis left on what, the 16th? Yeah, I think it was the 16th. They got there just after midnight on the early morning hours of the 17th. Hung out for a day, followed him around, and did the murder on Friday morning. So, yeah, I don't think that this row happened. I think they're trying to demonstrate that Katie sensed that her dreams of being the wife of a rich dentist... Remember yesterday when they were demonstrating how Katie was like, oh, you spoke to your mom about me? That's so great. I love you. You know, and all this. They're trying to say that Katie was just like gold digging and that Charlie wasn't really that into it. Yeah, they were exclusive, but he wasn't having marriage plans. And then there were difficulties because she was jealous about him having dinner with Erica and not hanging out with her on Friday night and blah, 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 blah. So she sensed that the relationship was going nowhere, but still wanted some of that chicken change, and went for plan B, which was murder plot, extortion plan. That's what they're trying to do, right?
We eventually smooth things over a little bit. Like I felt bad for saying that to her, and she was still mad at me and still wanting to see me. So I did smooth things over, but not entirely.
Now, the next day you have several text communications with Miss... Judge, may we briefly approach?
Approach.
Blues brother, I need you, you, you. I need you, you, you. What's your favorite song in the Blues Brothers, guys? I'll start. I want to say, I don't know, Aretha Franklin blows the fucking shit off the top with Think, doesn't she? Performed in that cafe, in that soul cafe. Give me 4 fried chickens and a Coke. You want chicken wings or chicken legs? 4 fried chickens and a Coke. Okay, so we've got Aretha with Think. That's pretty high on my list. What else? What else is a good song? Sam and Dave. Hold On, I'm Coming. I think that was the first time I ever heard that song. And it's still good today. What else we got? Let us know in the comments, guys. What is the best song in the Blues Brothers? John Lee Hooker. Oh, yeah, that's up there. Boom, 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 boom. Gonna shoot you right down. Should have another music session, jam session, Metrix jam session sometime. Just not for 4 hours, because we obviously get demonetized. What other songs are there? Rawhide.
You may.
That's a fan favorite.
That day, now we're on the 18th, July 18th. Did you speak with your sister that morning?
She caught the cater, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
I did.
What do you recall talking to your sister about?
I called her in the car on the way up to work, and I ended up talking to her.
Uh-oh. Just a Joy says, are you reading the comments, Metrix? Which comments, Just? Your comments? I'll go back and make sure I get them all, baby. What does Just have to tell us? They lied about arguing because they had to explain the numerous telephone text communications. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there would be other ways to do that if that's all it was. They chose to do it in a way that had conflict at its heart. You know, they text all the time. I mean, that it wasn't an anomaly. But yeah. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they had less texting going on than normal and said that it was because we were on the outs, you know. I told her she was a fucking bitch and all that. Because if it was just said here, I don't remember it, but I got a lot on. Did he say there were a lot of communications on Murder Day, or not that many? Like less. But whatever it is, they chose to explain it in a way that involved conflict. So I still think it's got some relevance to the thing of, you know, Katie purposefully, because she sensed the relationship was not going anywhere, took another opportunity to get paid.
She's told me that she was having the TV set repaired. I thought she had told me that Lincoln had thrown something at it and broke the screen. So she was getting a TV fixed. And then I was also, the reason I called her was because I was in a fight with Katie and I wanted to get her opinion on something. So I spoke to her and told her what I said to Katie, and she gave me sisterly advice like she usually does.
And again, that morning, you're in the car for quite some time?
About an hour and a half.
Where were the two? You were working at one or two offices that day?
I was working in two offices, but they're across the street from each other in Jupiter.
Okay. And during the call up to Jupiter, did you make several phone calls?
Yeah, that's my morning routine, and I was in the car for an hour and a half, so I was on the phone a bunch.
Now, there's several times where there is a phone call made, and then immediately after there's another call, and there's short calls, and then immediately after there's another call. Do you know why that was?
Greetings to you, Mad Hatter. Welcome to the Metrix chat.
The case?
Yeah, because there's a stretch of highway between West Palm and up in Jupiter, where you'll get drop calls constantly. So you'll call somebody and then you can't hear the person or it doesn't go through, and they start talking and you hang up and call them again. So the calls drop constantly up there.
Okay. Do you recall having some text message communication with a friend named Mike and also Katherine McBanawa about dinner that night?
Yes, I do.
And without getting into too many specifics, what was the general issue?
Mike had wanted me to get dinner with him because his house is kind of close to Jupiter, and sometimes when I'm up that way, I'll see him.
Hi.
Katie was still upset about the other day and feeling like I give more time to other people and questioning why it's a Friday night and I don't want to spend it with her. I eventually just texted with Katie and I apologized for calling her a bitch and telling her I said she was acting like one. I didn't call her one, but evidently to some people there was no difference. And I shouldn't have said it, so I ended up apologizing and making dinner plans with her.
So you chose to make dinner plans with Katie that night, correct?
Yeah.
And where the dinner plans were going to actually happen, did you get that far in making specific plans?
No, but I said I just want to do something casual in Fort Lauderdale. I don't want to get all dressed up and head to Miami.
Okay. Now, the second office you're working in for a little period of time, right? That evening. In other words, let me rephrase.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of surgeries in that second office, right?
Yeah, they're usually packed.
And do you recall from a text message that around a little after 6, you were about to start a big procedure?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, you hear from your mom. How do you hear from your mom?
I had a missed call from her, 1 or 2 missed calls, and then she texted me, call us ASAP.
And why did you miss?
Why did you miss a call 10 years ago? Thank you so much, Pinto, for the support in our goal at the top of the chat. If anyone else wants to support the dream come true of meeting up with our fabulous music producer, Mr. Derek Sherinian, over in Germany, just a short 3-hour flight away, and we're going to party with the band. We're heading to a hotel room full of cocaine and hookers. It's going to be like the old days. Yeah, I'll be in bed before 9, I should imagine. Actually, I think I'm going to be sleeping in the park. I was looking at the flights, and of course it's summer now, isn't it? All those fucking disgusting children are going on holiday places. You know, taking up space on the plane, making everything more expensive. So I've got to put soap in a jail. That costs money. But I reckon I can get by a couple of days walking around Germany with no sleep. I'm not going to get a fucking hotel. What am I, 100 years old? No, we can handle it. But we got to get there. If you want to support the dream, guys, you can at the top of the chat with a support super sticker on our goal. Fantastic ways to support the dream.
Why did you miss the calls? What were you doing?
I was in surgery.
Okay. After she texted you, call her ASAP, what did you do?
I stopped what I was doing. I could see the text messages on the phone as they come in, so I knew it was important. I stopped what I was doing, and I called her right back.
When you called her back, what did she tell you?
She told me that Wendy had just called her, and that Dan had been shot, and that it was serious, and that her and my dad are going to be going up to Tallahassee to be with her.
How did you react?
I was shocked. I said, "Is he okay? Is he going to be okay? Are the boys okay? Or Wendy's okay? Like what happened?"
And what did your mom tell you?
She said she didn't know any details, that it was really serious, and then Wendy's with the police right now, and they're questioning her.
Now,
Scott's back. Welcome back, Scott. I love how he always tells us where he is.
after you got off the phone with your mom, what did you do?
I went back to work.
And did you have some communications with people after that through text messages about how you were feeling?
I did.
And generally speaking, how were you feeling?
I wasn't feeling great. I was pretty upset about what I just heard.
Now, around what time, if you remember, did you leave the office?
Probably about between 8:20 and 8:30.
Okay. And again, it's a pretty far drive, correct?
Yeah.
Even at that time of night.
Yeah, there's no traffic at that time, so I could speed a little bit. But
On your car ride home,
Acapella says, wow, more moderators. Speaking of which, Michelle, you've been a solid 200 hitter for quite a while now. I think it's time to give you a wrench. If you are still willing and able to accept the challenge. There is no challenge. It really is just a token of appreciation, a token of thanks. You want a wrench?
did you make phone calls?
yes, I did.
And in particular, and we'll do it one at a time, did you speak with Katherine Magbanawa?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell Katherine Magbanawa on your ride home?
I told her that my ex-brother-in-law had been shot, and it's serious. And I just told her I really didn't feel like going out tonight, and just hang out at the house if you still want to come over. She said, no, I'm still coming to see you.
How did she seem?
Seemed normal. I mean, she seemed concerned, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Now, are you aware that after that phone call, Katherine Magbanawa had to frantically go around and try to get a babysitter for her kids?
No, not at all.
Now, did you speak with your mom on the way home to your house?
Yeah, like I called my parents also from the car.
And what did you find out from your parents?
That they were getting ready to leave, and that they were heading up to they were going to head up to Tallahassee, and that they were going to probably stop up in Orlando because it's late, and they wouldn't get up there till. So they're going to spend the night in Orlando and then go up to Tallahassee.
Now, you've seen text messages in this case.
So they couldn't handle a fucking 4-hour drive in one hit? When someone's been shot, you're gonna stop off in Orlando and stay in a hotel. What are you gonna do in the hotel for, you go out to dinner and maybe, take a swim in the pool, see if the steam room is open? I don't know. Just drive. It's 4 hours. What's the matter with you?
Where there's some indication, your mom says outside your house, and 20 minutes later, after that text message, you say 10 minutes. Do you recall those text messages?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you see your parents that evening?
No, not at all.
Okay. When your mom says,
Looking good, Michelle. Of course, you shouldn't have a wrench. You should have a, what do you call it? A curling iron. as your icon.
outside your house,
And just a really nice bottle of shampoo. Quality stuff. Salon-only shampoo.
does that mean to you that she was actually at your house?
No, it meant that she was passing by my house outside it on the vicinity, seeing if I was home.
On the phone call that you had with your mom on the way home, did you discuss anything about your parents stopping at your house?
Yeah, I said, text me when you're close. If I'm home, stop by and see me, because my house is a football field length away from the exit of the turnpike.
And when they were close, were you anywhere near your house?
No, and I missed their text. I didn't get home.
Yeah, Michelle, I'll add you to the moderators on Discord as well. I mean, it's early days with the new Discord. God, it's so nice to. It's so quiet. It's like, you know those Zen gardens, like a peace garden, serenity. Like maybe there's a water feature and a giant granite Buddha sitting amidst some bamboo. That's what I feel is the new Discord. It's so nice. So nice.
For 40 minutes after that text came through.
When you got home, what did you do?
When I got home, I changed, took a shower. Changed, and I played phone tag with Katie to see where she was at.
Here's two things I've never ever said in my life from the modern world, right? Playing phone tag, never said that in my life. And blowing up my phone. Oh, he was blowing up my phone all morning. Yeah, I've never said that in my life. Am I out of touch?
Talked to her after I got out of the shower, and she was going to be heading over to hang out with me.
You have a text with your friend Mike that said you went to the gym. Do you have a gym? Did you go to the gym?
No.
Okay. Do you know if you worked out in your house that night?
I don't know if I've got some workout equipment in our house, so I may very well have, but I didn't go to the gym that night.
Your friend Mike wanted to have dinner with you that night, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over, and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly, and I think I even said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
I know, Amy. What was that about? Did you go to the gym that night? No. Did you work out in your house that night? I may have. I do have some gym equipment at home, so I may very well have. What? How much did you bench on the 18th? Probably somewhere between 200 and 220. How many repetitions did you manage to do on the bench press that night?
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
I know. Wendy Adelson's the complete opposite end of the spectrum with this, isn't it? It's like, when did you meet Professor Markel? We met in the fall. I had just finished my undergrad of 2006. You know, doesn't know when she met the father of her children and husband, only husband she's ever had. Okay. What? But Charlie remembers too much. Yes, I remember I got a missed call And when I got the missed call, the reason I couldn't answer is because I was arranging dinner plans with Mike. What?
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset.
I thought he was going to say she came in through the bathroom window.
I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day. But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. And I'm like, are you okay? She's like, no.
Yeah, he backtracked on that. He was going to say, she looked more upset than I was, and then realized that he didn't have anything to be upset about. He was frustrated at his horrible day. But that wouldn't be, you wouldn't say, she looked more upset than I was. If he's frustrated, which is one kind of emotion, and she's upset, you wouldn't say something that compares them. You wouldn't go, she looked more upset than I was. That's like saying, she looked more angry than I was happy. It's just, they're two different things. But when you're inventing them and pretending them, you forget that, don't you? Your instinct goes off and it gets confused, which is exactly what just happened to Charlie. Watch it again. Oh.
When you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly, and I think I said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day. But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. And I'm like, are you okay?
You see him catch himself and go, that doesn't make any sense. Don't say that. She looked more upset than more upset than I'd ever seen her. Oh, he's not a good liar. I know good liars. You know? I think we should do a nice little mini-series on the best liars that we've seen in true crime. And I've got some good ones. We've got a nice little mini-series coming out soon, maybe tomorrow, starting off on the reason for insanity defense. But I think we should also do one on the best liars in true crime. Some of my choices may shock you. Let me write it down. What am I writing down? Mini-series. The best liars in true crime. We should set up some voting stuff on Discord as well. Don't forget, everybody, that there is a new link to the Metrix Discord in the description for the video, which is just such a nice place to be now. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. All I can hear is the soft jingle jangle of wind chimes and the wafting scent of incense.
She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, what's wrong?
Has anyone ever had a gong bath? I feel like I'm in a gong bath.
Like, just come sit down. I need to talk to you.
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And she said, listen, this is all my fault, but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
What did you say?
This is all my fault. I spoke too much about your family's personal problems, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer. And we're supposed to believe that this is a memory of something that happened. And I mean, that's a quote that he's presenting it as if he's quoting what Katie said. Let's hear it again.
Garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she
Came into the garage, entered through the kitchen, through the side door.
always does. And
It's like following the thread back through the labyrinth, isn't it?
she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walks straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, just a horrible day.
Oh my God, I've
She
gone all the
looked
way back
More
here.
upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, what's wrong? She said, just come sit down. I need to talk to you.
Where
Come
did
sit
you
down,
go?
I need to talk to
We
you.
walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to
Is that the one with the big fish on the wall, Charlie, that you stole from Monty's beach bar?
the living room?
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And
She started
said,
to talk to
listen,
me.
this is all my fault,
It's okay. Listen, this is all my fault.
but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this
I had no idea anything was going to happen.
was totally my fault.
Totally
I
my
spoke in
fault.
too much detail about your
I spoke in too much detail about...
family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer.
I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer. Oh. I just don't even know what to say to that. It's so poor for him to even attempt to pass that off as a memory of something that happened. She just happened to list out all the things that you need to tell the jury. That's convenient.
What did you say?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $1/3
How did you react?
I don't know, Pariah. I think I've had too much looking at bad liars. A lot of them would be Charlie. He's first, second, and third prize worst liar. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start off doing the best liars because I prefer looking at good liars, to be honest.
I was like, what did you just say? And she's like, my friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $1/3
What happened next?
I stood up, and I started cursing it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And she's like, no. I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, I don't want to say, I can't say. And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, no, I'm not telling you. And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me like, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was gonna happen. And I'm like, Katie, I'm not gonna be part of this shit. Like, I'm not gonna be part of paying for a murder. This is insane. And she's like, look, if you don't pay in 48 hours, they will kill you. And I said, Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now.
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry, and she's like, look, I'm not extorting you. She's like, I got dragged into this the same way you got dragged into this. She's like, it's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you. So she's like, she goes, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm trying to help you. Now, chop with the fucking $1,000 bills, boy. Take me to the safe. I am not extorting you. Just empty all of your money into this bag, and I'll deliver it to the real villains who you can never speak to or meet. I was keeping her happy. Katie was protecting me, and I said, here's $300 for your son's birthday party. I am not extorting you. Just empty the safe. Chop.
You're gonna go to the police? She goes, you go to the police, they'll kill you.
Ooh, thank you so much, Christine, for the very kind super chat there. That's fantastic. Great stuff, Christine. Well done.
Did she tell you that they would just kill you? Or
Oh, by the way, guys, if anyone wants fantastic memberships, we've updated all our memberships now. We've got fantastic new memberships on Patreon. We've got even better memberships on buymeacoffee.com. And of course, those all-important YouTube memberships, all with fantastic Metrix benefits. Check the links out in the description. Our fantastic merch store is going to be back online real soon, and also support the channel on buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. Thank you so much, guys.
they would also kill other people?
She said he'd come after you, he'd come after the family. Like, Charlie, you don't have a choice. Just pay the money. You said you had the cash. You said you were going to pay a third. Like, just do it. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
What did you do then?
I said, Katie, I don't have $350,000 in cash. And she's like, you said you did. And I was like, no, I cash isn't. I can write a check for $350,000. I don't need to take out a loan. And she's like, well, you have a ton of money in your safe. And I said, Katie, I don't have that much in my safe. I do have a lot. And I said, come take a look. And I walked over to my safe. I opened it up. And I'm like, here, take a look. And I took it out in piles and put it on the dresser next to us. And I said, go ahead and count. That's not $350,000.
And did she count it?
Yes, she did.
How much money did she count?
$138,000.
So it wasn't 100,000, it was 138,000.
Correct.
What did she do with $138,000?
She put it in her. She had a big purse. She put it.
Look, Christina says both Wendy and Charlie are horrible liars, but in different ways, very different ways, and for different reasons, you know. And it really depends on how you're scoring it, because Wendy, you have to consider the fact that Wendy's game is very different. You know, Wendy plays an overall game. It doesn't matter to Wendy that little lies are obvious. In fact, I think she does it on purpose. You know, it's part of her deal. It's part of her sick art form. And she is pretty damn effective at it, I must say. It's quite astounding how much she must keep in that tiny mind of hers. You know, I would struggle to do what she does, but I still have some empathy within me somewhere. Wendy doesn't. That's been completely surgically removed, which is a huge plus for liars. You know, if you're beyond conscience, that is a massive, massive advantage when it comes to lying. If you're beyond conscious to the psychopathic degree, like Wendy, it's huge. It's huge. I think if I were a psychopath, I could do what she does. But how I feel right now, I wouldn't even want to try, because it just looks like a horrible way to live. Unless you're a psychopath. For her, it's great. She loves it. You know. So Wendy plays the overall game. Charlie, I'm not saying he has empathy, but I wouldn't say that Charlie is a psychopath. I'd say he's a spoilt, privileged, just selfish asshole. You know, I don't think he's a psychopath. I mean, he's just talentless at lying. Wendy's not talentless, even though it's obvious when she's lying. But I believe that she does that on purpose because it gives her some rush, you know. She loves going close to the line, almost getting caught, and you know it affirms her sense of her own prowess to go that close to the line, to be so blatantly lying, so obvious in your deception, and still evade capture and consequence for now. She loves that. It's purposeful. Charlie's not purposeful. Charlie is doing his best to be believable, and it's just not effective at all.
In her purse, and she asked me, she goes, how can you get the rest? And I'm like, hey, that's all the cash I've saved up from forever. And she said, can you go to your parents and get it? And I was like, if I go to my parents, my dad will go to the cops in a second. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop my dad from going to the police. Like, I could never.
Yeah. My law-abiding family wouldn't stand for this. He'd insist we go to the police.
Anything to him.
What happened next?
She asked me, she said, well, can you pay like $3,000 a month? And
not extorting you, but I'll be by every Saturday. And I want it in cash.
And I said, yeah, I can do that.
Now, at this point in time, did you have any idea that she was part of the extortion?
No. She kept saying it was all her fault and that she didn't know any of this was going to happen. And
Amy says, who cares if it was $138,000, not 100? Well, the reason they changed that is because 100, if he just happened to have the perfectly round number of 100 grand in his safe, that, you know, a round figure like that is the perfect payment for a murder, right? It wouldn't be believable that it was just happenstance, the figure that was there. Making it 138 makes it seem like, you know, that was just the money in his safe, not that it was that a perfect amount of $100,000 was there in cash of his savings, right? Had to be a big bundle of money because Luis Rivera testified what he got. And there's also the thing of correcting the state's theory in front of the jury. Aha! The state didn't know the real amount. They assumed that it was $100,000. It wasn't 100. It was $138,000. We have the facts. The defense is here to show you the truth. That's a side benefit, but ultimately it just couldn't be $100,000 because that's too round a number to be believable that it was just a random amount of money that he had. Had to change. Can't be $100,000. But the side benefit is correcting the state.
I mean, she was upset.
What did she do next?
Thank you, Michelle, as well, for the super sticker. Very nice, Michelle. Welcome to the team.
She took her purse, her keys, and her phone. And she's like, "I'm going to go call my friend and see if this works for him, and I'm going to try to help you out." And she walked out of the house, and my bedroom was right next to the front door. She walked out of my bedroom outside of the front door and closed the door behind her.
When she went out of the house, what did you do?
I just paced around my house, and I remember sitting in the living room. I got a wood coffee table, and I was just sitting on the coffee table just in shock, thinking, what the fuck just happened?
What happened when she came back in the house?
She came in the house, and she was being the good guy and telling me that she's going to look out after me, and she's so sorry this happened. It's the same thing she was saying beforehand.
That thing about sitting on the coffee table thinking, what the fuck just happened? I bet that memory is real, but from a different occasion. That was more likely what he was doing after the bump, right? What the fuck just happened? Sitting on the coffee table, going through everything in his mind, you know. That actually is somewhat of a nice tactic for deception, to include a real life experience that would apply to the situation you're making up. 1 point for you, Charlie. Well done.
And that she was going to make sure that nobody pays me a visit. And she's like, I spoke to him. You can pay $3,000 a month, or you can pay the rest off. She goes, but the $3,000 a month you're paying doesn't go towards the balance.
What did you do after she told you that?
Well, why not? What am I paying $3,000 a month for? Fucking. That's interest? How does this work? That's like, well, what is it? They want, let's do the math. They want 333,000. And we're going to subtract the 138,000. That's what he gave them in cash. We've got 195 left to pay. So $3,000 of 195 is about 1.48% a month forever. I mean, as far as interest rates go, I guess that's not that bad. But it's still 3 G's a month, boy.
I just said fine, and I walked downstairs into the kitchen, and I'm shaking, and I took a bar of Xanax.
Oh, hang on, but that's a month, isn't it? So we've got to times that by 12. Is it 1.48? So if it were 200 grand, it would be 1.5%, 5 out of the 2. I think it's 1.48. Let's call it 1.48. Times 12 months. Ooh, now we're not looking too good. 17 76. There you go. Freedom lovers. 17.76% is his interest rate per annum, which ain't that great. You need a new accountant, Charlie.
Where did you go?
And I walked outside from the kitchen through the slide.
Just while Charlie's walking outside, thank you so much, Christina, for that sticker lemon thing there. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you, Christina.
Sliders into the backyard. I closed the sliding glass door behind me. I think she got the picture. I wanted to be alone. And I just sat outside behind my house for a while.
Now, when you came back into the house, what was she like?
She was just apologizing and just telling me that her friend's crazy and she's so sorry, and she ran her mouth too much about everything and about the
$1 million offer. Now, what was it?
And she was telling me that
I spoke too much about your family's personal problems, about your sister, about Dan Markel, and about the $1 million offer.
she was going to protect me.
Did she take a Xanax as well?
I don't know if she did. She may have, but I didn't give her one.
Did she spend the night that night?
She did sleep over that night.
Now, why didn't you?
Yeah, no, she might have stolen one from the bottle. I dropped the bottle, and we were there picking up the pills all over the fucking coffee table, and she might have slipped a Xanax without my knowledge, because I'm a doctor and I would never prescribe drugs to a patient that's not off record at my office.
Did you kick her out?
I was in the state of shock, and I didn't think she had anything to do with it. I didn't even want to believe that she had anything to do with it.
When you came back in the house, what happened to you next?
The Xanax was really starting to set in. It's probably about a half hour I was outside. I remember going into the bedroom and sitting down. I sent the text to my parents to see if they were up in Orlando yet or where they were. And then I laid down in bed and I passed out pretty soon after that.
The next morning, when did she leave?
She left about 8:30 in the morning.
And how was she in the morning? How was she acting?
She was apologizing and telling me how sorry she is, and she was blaming herself and saying it's all my fault for running my mouth, and telling my friend about this. And she was just telling me that she was going to protect me and that I wasn't going to get a visit from anybody.
What did she tell you anything in particular before she left the house?
Yeah, she told me, whatever you do, she said, please don't tell anybody about what happened. Like, don't tell anybody about this. Never talk about this. Never talk about it on the phone. She said, never call me up and start talking about this. And the last thing she said to me is like, can we just pretend like this never even happened?
She leaves the house, and we're going to get into specifics, but that day, July 19th, where do you go?
I don't leave the house. I was home all day.
What were you thinking and what were you doing when you were home on the 19th?
I was sleeping a bunch. I think I took probably some more Xanax. Just trying to relax. And I was just real upset.
That morning, did you speak with your parents and with Wendy Adelson?
I did. I talked to my parents that morning.
And what did you find out?
I found out that Dan had died.
And
I found out that Dan had died. Little something on the blinking we can read here that it says, excessive blinking, while often a sign of a physical issue, like dry eyes or allergies, can also be linked to psychological factors like stress, anxiety, or even lying. In some cases, it can be a manifestation of mental health conditions like OCD or depression. It's also possible to experience an increase in blinking due to tics, which are involuntary movements. Some studies suggest that increased blinking along with other nonverbal cues like eye movement, can be a sign of lying or deception. However, it's important to consider the overall context and not solely rely on blinking as a definitive indicator. I think we have the context just fine in this trial.
Why did you call Wendy Adelson?
Because that was the first call I called after my parents told me that, to see how she was, see how the boys were.
Now, your home...
Yeah, I remember that one, Pinto. The expert that said, well, Wendy Adelson said that statement and her palms were up, which means truth. I like body language. There's a really good sort of, it's a good channel. It's just not it's not a very showy channel. You know, I like the behavior panel. I do dip in and out of it occasionally. It's enjoyable. The discussion is good. That's fine. It's just, it's very, I don't know. I like the less of a production. The channel I'm talking about is called The Dialogue. And the lady who's talking, I think what she does is she trains actors in things like nonverbal communication, which is a really interesting job. So she's really used to knowing what nonverbal communication would be appropriate for certain situations, which she will then look at some murderer going on to give a news interview, like Chris Watts or Mark Redwine, Stephen McDaniel, all those guys that do that. That's hilarious. Why do they do that? So many of them do it. I'm going to go on TV and lead the search party. What does Chris Watts say? I got home last night. It was a ghost town. No, I just wanted those kids to just run in and barrel rush me and just knock me over, crack me. I miss giving them chicken nuggets and saying, come on, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your snack. And, what are you doing, Chris? What are you doing? What a day he had, eh? I mean, I think he did sleep some before Shanann got back. Then he murdered her. Then he had to pack up the body. And to pack up the body, he had to overpack his entire work truck to make it look like he wasn't packing up a body. There's my water jug, there's my O-rings, there's my book bag, there's my laptop. Back and forth from the house he goes, right? Then you murder your children. Great. Nothing gives you a good rest like murdering your two defenseless toddler daughters. Then, I mean, you just stuff them into the oil tank, so that didn't take too much of a strain, but digging a fucking shallow grave in rock-hard, August weather Colorado desert dirt, enough to bury, or at least cover up, a fucking 8-month, or how, it wasn't 8 months, was it? Was it 4 months? 4 months pregnant? 4 or 5 months pregnant? Even so, you got to dig a hole, and it's not soft ground. Then you are at work for at least 3 hours, doing your labor job, doing your big spanner wrench in the desert job. Then Nicole Atkinson calls up and says, "Where are you, buddy?" Shanann's not answering the door. She had a doctor's appointment. Her car's here. Her shoes that she wears every day are by the front door. I can see them through the window. What's going on, Chris? I think I'm going to call the police. Then you rush back to speak with the police. You know, you haven't even had the opportunity to change. I think he did grab a breakfast burrito on his way back to the house from a gas station. Yeah, then you're completely in the mix. You're going from house to house, trying to look like you give a shit, and cops are asking you questions, and your whole cerebral cortex is in full fucking overdrive. Do you think he slept that night? Hard to imagine. I mean, maybe he did, just from sheer physical exhaustion. But even if he did actually manage to sleep, I mean, the mind would not let the body rest in that, you know, scenario at all. And then the next day, news crews. And then, yeah, it was the same day as the news crews, because he had the same shirt on, right? It was the same day as the news crews that he went for that late night, long interrogation interview with FBI agent Graham Coder. That was stressful. Then you pick up your dad at the airport at like 8 in the morning, and you're in for the lie detector test. And that night you're going to bed in a jail cell. What a couple of days, Chris. Fucking hell. You know, but right in the middle of all that, you had to go on TV and speak to the world. Oh, got to go back to Chris Watts and just have a look again, right? It's been ages since I watched that.
Alone the entire day of the 19th. Did you think about going to the police?
I thought about it, but I thought I'm going to get...
Hey, Danielle Savoy's here. How you doing, Danielle? Come to the new Discord. Link in the description. It's so much better now. Just kidding.
killed if I go to the police. It's not going to bring Dan back. It just seemed like a bad idea.
Over the days following, did you continue to go back and forth about whether to go to the police or not?
Every time I thought about it, I thought through what could happen to me, what would be the benefit versus the pros versus the cons.
And why didn't you go to the police?
I thought if I went to the police that they'd kill me.
Now, there are some text messages into evidence on the 19th. Text messages between you and Katherine Magbanua. I think there's 3 of them. Do you recall those text messages?
Yeah, we texted during the day.
And there are text messages about the weather and pool and Katherine Magbanua going to the pool. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
What are those text messages about?
I was trying to show her that I was trying to pretend like this didn't even happen. Like, I think one of the texts said I'm going to the gym. I didn't go to the gym that day. My phone will show I never left my house.
Now, you say that she said that you could pay all at once, or you could pay $3,000 a month. That's what her friend would accept, right?
Yes.
Did you think about paying it all at once?
I thought about it. I thought, if I'll do it and it'll get these people out of my life forever. But then I thought, this is extortion. One thing I know about extortion is it never ends. So if I paid it all at once, I thought that may be more of a reason that they come kill me. Or if I pay it all off, they're going to come back and ask for more money.
In the days following the extortion, did your sleeping habits change?
Yes.
Christina says, why would Katie ask him to pretend it never happened? Exactly right. Obviously, this is a huge Obviously, this is huge for both of them, and it's going to be a major topic of conversation between them going forward. Yeah. I mean, for Charlie's defense, the reason is to explain why things stayed normal between them. Remember when they go through his text messages, like that day, murder day, or was it the day after when the money was paid? Yeah, the day after, he was like, oh, it's a beautiful day. What are you doing? Going to the beach or the pool? And Charlie says, yeah, that was me trying to tell her that I was complying. Like, oh, look, I'm treating it as a normal day because you said don't talk about it. So I'm not talking about it and we're all good. Some things he would have been so much better just leaving out completely.
What did you start doing?
I slept with a gun in my nightstand ever since then. And then I started carrying my gun on me also.
I'm showing you it's marked for identification purposes only as Defendant's Exhibit 51 and Defendant's Exhibit 52. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay.
Take a look at those. Do you recognize those items?
I do.
Judge, I would move Defendant's Exhibit 51 and 52. Well, before I move in 52. The 52 are some text messages. Are those text messages that you recognize that you kept in your ordinary course of dealings with text messages?
Yes, they are.
I would move in at this time 51 and 52.
Any objection from the state?
I have not reviewed these.
Please let Ms. Keppelman look at 51 and 52.
No objection, Your Honor.
Defense 51 and 52 are admitted at this time.
Now, on within 11 days after your extortion, did you do anything in particular to your house and to the Adelson Institute?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
A few days after it happened, I called up a camera guy, and I got a whole set of cameras installed at my house and in my office, and in my office, like pointing out to the parking lot also.
Judge, may I publish?
You may.
I'm showing you what's marked as let me show you the original. I'm showing you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit 51. Is this a check for the cameras?
Yes, it is.
And how much did you pay for the camera system?
I paid $2,140.
And what date was the check made out for?
7/30/2014.
And in the memo line, what does it say?
It says camera.
I'm showing you some text messages from a couple days earlier. And these are text messages between you and your parents and you and camera Adriel. Who's camera Adriel?
Adriel is the name of the guy who installed the cameras, so I just put his name in my phone as Camera, so it's easy to look up. Camera Adriel.
And here are you indicating that you put cameras in your house as well as the Adelson Institute?
You now have 8 full night vision camera. How's the house cameras coming? Liz just left with Dad for FLL. What is that? Fort Lauderdale? Did they put in your camera system in the house? Call later. Love, Dad. They're working on it now. 5 minutes from the house. And then the bill. Aye. Supplies, $339. 23 cameras. What the fuck? Why do you need 23 cameras? Like, how long would that take to go through? I think someone did a fucking major sales job, but yeah. No, you definitely need about 23 of these babies. Yeah. The aspect ratio, it's a very shallow depth of field. So what we'll do is we'll have multiple cameras on every corner, and that'll give you the full coverage. Yeah, this is the most secure system in the world, but you need 23 of them. So can I sign you up right now, or?
Yeah, that's why there's 2 DVRs. There was one for the house and there was one for the office, and it's 23 cameras in total.
Why did you think it was so important to put all of a sudden a camera system up?
It was I was worried about my safety. I didn't. I fully expected these people to come back and possibly try to kill me. So I just wanted to beef up my security system in the house and the office.
Okay, I want to switch gears a teeny bit. What was your sister like in the weeks following the murder?
She was a wreck. She looked horrible. She didn't leave the house. She wasn't eating.
Before we go into that subject, I want to bring up one other thing about the cameras.
Yeah, she wasn't eating. She was drinking. She'd wake up. She'd wake up, have a bottle of Cabernet, and tequila shooters for lunch, and then bullet bourbon for dinner every day. She wasn't eating for about a month, just drinking, heavily drinking.
Are there text messages earlier in the year where your parents are asking you to put up cameras at the Adelson Institute?
We talked about it, and I actually had a camera system at my house, but it was older and it was antiquated, and it didn't work really good. It was from like 2008, so the technology was 6-7 years old.
Those text messages earlier in the year to put up a camera system at the office, had you ever acted upon that?
No, we talked about it, but I never got around to it. It's
not until within a week or so after you're extorted that you act upon that, correct?
Yeah, I called the camera guy about 3 or 4 days after I got extorted, and it took him like a week to get the cameras and to set up an appointment to install it.
Let me ask you another question. And we're going to get to your mom learning what happened. But before we get there, after you were extorted, did you tell anyone about what happened to you?
No, I told nobody.
Why not?
Katie told me before she left my house that morning, she's like, you cannot talk to anybody about this. Don't ever talk about this with anyone. Don't ever talk on the phone about it. don't even talk to me about this ever again. Like, nobody can find out, but I'm going to protect you.
Let's get back to Wendy.
Okay.
So, I think you said Wendy was a mess.
Yeah.
Did there come a time when you went out to dinner with your sister?
Yes.
And how long after the murder was it?
Yeah, that sounds exactly about right, Michelle. Bottle of wine for breakfast, another bottle for lunch, and by dinner time she was vomiting at a restaurant, right on the table, right in the middle of their celebration dinner. And they had those big old Japanese portion martinis, right? At Uvia.
That.
I'd say it was about 2 weeks after. Maybe even a hair more, but around about 2 weeks.
And what happened when you went out to dinner with her?
I picked her up. I said, what do you feel like getting? You want to get pizza? You want to get sushi? And she's like, I love sushi.
Actually, I bet Wendy Adelson's a Bloody Mary in the morning kind of girl, you know? Because it's really impossible to see how much vodka is in it. And if you serve it with a celery stalk, it looks like a healthy option. Right? We used to put about half a bottle of Tabasco in Bloody Marys. I don't think Tabasco is used enough in cocktails. It's great with a fucking Long Island iced tea. Just Tabasco, Tabasco, Tabasco. Gives it a kick. Gives it a zing.
So I said, all right, I'll take you to this. I'll take you to a really good place for sushi.
Where did you go?
We went to a restaurant called Juvia.
Yeah. We're Jewish, so we looked at all the restaurants in Miami and we found one called Juvia. And we figured, well, what is that? Maybe that's some sort of fusion sushi kosher food for Jews that love sushi. It should be called Jew sushi. Sushi Jew. How would that even work? Maybe there's a market, you know? Kosher sushi. Obviously that prawn thing is off the table, but I mean the rest of it, you know, you could have a side portion of what's it called? Whitefish salad. You know?
It's actually a pretty fancy sushi place.
What happened?
Oh, I bet, Charlie. You know, you're taking Wendy Adelson out for a celebration dinner. It's going to be the fanciest sushi place in all of Miami. With a Spanish name for some reason that you can't pronounce.
During the dinner?
She got really sick when we got to the restaurant. We didn't have a reservation or anything. They sat us at the bar. They served us a drink at the bar. It was one of those like martinis that have like 3 shots in them, so they're strong. And then we sat at the dinner table.
Were you drinking and celebrating the death of Professor Markel?
Absolutely not. We sat at the bar waiting for a table for an hour, and then when we sat at the table, we each had 1 drink.
I just wanted to see what that looked like a cappella. Koshushi. I mean, I personally, I like when I can laugh at the name of a restaurant. Koshushi. I mean, that does actually sound like a Japanese word, doesn't it? Koshushi. Koshishi. Koshushi-san. Saimasu. Arigato. Koshushi arigato.
Now, I want to move on to August. Well, before we get there, sorry. In July, did you break up with Katherine Magbanua?
Yes.
How did you break up with her?
On the phone?
This happened on a Friday night, and I'd say within a week, I met her. I said, "Come, let's have dinner," and we went out for tacos. And I said, like, "We can't do this anymore. I don't want to be in a relationship with you."
You went out for tacos? What, you couldn't stretch to 3 hot wings for your breakup dinner? Hey Katie, I've got to talk to you. Let's you and me go to KFC and we'll sit in the restaurant for this occasion because this is serious. I'm gonna treat you to, you know what? We're gonna get a bucket. We're gonna get a junior child size bucket. Okay? 2 legs and a breast. That's how important this is to me, Katie. Fucking who goes for tacos on Friday? It's Tuesday for tacos, obviously.
How did she react?
I think she knew it was coming. I mean, there was no surprise on her part.
Now, in August, did you see her?
I saw her one time in August.
Why did you see her in August?
I saw her one time in August to pay her $3,000 for her friend.
When you paid her the money in August, how did you pay her?
I paid her $3,000 in cash.
And at this point in time, did you know that she was actually part of the extortion?
No, I thought she was not part of it. I was a little suspicious, but she just kept telling me that how sorry she was, and she was adamant that she had nothing to do with it and didn't know this was going to happen.
When you gave her the cash in August, did she make any request of you?
Yes, she did.
What request did she make?
She said, look, none of this money's going to her. She's giving all the money to her friend. She said, could you do me a favor? I need to get health insurance for my kids. Like, I'm helping you out. Nobody's going to ever pay you a visit. Can you give me $2,000 in cash for my friend and write me a check for $1,000 every month? And that way, she said she'll cash it, give the money to her friend, and then that way she can get health insurance for her kids.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit.
God, I'd be getting fucking frustrated with this. All right, let's break it down, okay? I give you $138,000 cash, everything in my safe, because your fucking street gang brother friends murdered my sister's ex-husband and are now threatening to kill me. And because $138,000 in cash isn't enough for you, I'm going to give you $3,000 cash a month, which doesn't chip away at the principal that you say is still owed. That's just, extra money for you. Then you want to arrange it so that I give you $2,000 cash and write you a check leaving a paper trail to my legitimate business for $1,000 a month so you can pay, so that you can get health insurance for your fucking kids that aren't my responsibility. Fucking get the fuck out of here. No more favors. Like, who would do that? Oh, well, the whole thing about him being a gentleman about it. Well, I saw that she was struggling and none of that money was going to her. She was all giving that to her friend. So, She needed health insurance for her children because her children has a disability. So I had to do the right thing. It's the wrong framing. It should have been presented as some additional threat or something, or, that was the wrong framing. Why would you give the first shit about her having health insurance for her kids? When, you've got a track record of not giving a shit about anybody at all that's not got an Adelson last name. Okay.
She says to you she needs health insurance for her kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to you, I'm getting none of the money at all.
Yeah, she said none of this is going to her.
But it would really help me if $1,000 of the $3,000 can be in the form of
Yeah, none of it's going to me at all, Charlie. I'm protecting you. The money, it's just going through me to them. You give it to me, I give it to them. I take nothing off the top. I'm not involved. Okay, now.
of being on the books of your business, essentially.
Yes.
And did you say to her, Katherine, we just did a murder. I can't put you on the books of the business because that creates a paper trail.
No, we didn't just do a murder. I just got extorted.
Now, what did you say to her when she made you that request?
I said, I'll do it for you. No problem. I mean, I wanted to keep her happy.
Now, before you did that for her, what did you have to do?
I had to call my mom because she does the books at the office. I don't even have the checkbook. And I called her up and I said, I want to put Katie on payroll at the office for $1,000 a month.
When you called your mom, what did she say to you?
She said, was Katie going to be coming into the office? Is she going to start working for us? And I said, no, she's not. And then she's like, well, what's Katie going to be doing? And I go, oh, she's just going to be helping me out with some stuff and different things. It's a long story. And I think my mom was someplace when I was talking to her on her cell phone because she didn't question me much after that.
Did you make any special requests to your mom about how the checks would be made?
Yes, I did.
What was your request to your mom?
I said, put them as like, give me like 4 or 5 checks at a time because I just want to hand them to her like that. So I said, write me a bundle of checks at a time.
Why did you want your mom to give you a bundle of checks at a time?
Because I only planned on seeing her one time a month, and that was to make the extortion payment. So I figured if I gave her 4 or 5 checks each time, that's all I planned on seeing her.
Now,
Hang on, I thought it was 1 check a month. You're seeing her once a month to make the extortion payment. You need 1 check per month.
sometimes did you give her less than 4 or 5 checks at a time?
It is a ridiculous fucking school girl error for Donna to write out sequential checks. I mean, that's basic. I'm actually really surprised with all of their extensive history. All right, they've not paid for murders, but they're well acquainted and accustomed to moving money around, putting it in different names, holding companies, cash, deposit, dodge the IRS. I mean, they're doing this all the time in their general, non-murder businesses. She should have known that. That is a huge error. Just really basic. Lazy. There's only one reason to do that, and that's just get a job out of the way, right? That's the only possible reason, and you can't You can't, no matter how long it's been, there's no statute of limitations on fucking murder. Anywhere, I think. You know, you can never be sloppy again. Not even a little bit. Laziness. It really surprises me that it was that there's no other reason. There's no other reason that anyone can come up with that was like, well, Donna probably thought this. No, it was just, oh, you know, I don't want to be doing this every month. I'm going to write them all in one go. Ridiculous.
Not that I can recall.
Now, did there come a time when you went to go pick up the checks from your mom?
Yes.
And where did you go to pick up the checks?
I went to my parents' apartment.
And who was there when you came to pick up the checks?
My mom was there, and I don't think my dad was there at the time. He wasn't there at the time.
Was he there or
No,
wasn't he?
she was alone. There was no one else there.
Now, when you went to go pick up the checks, what happened and what do you remember?
I remember walking in, saying hi to my mom, and she's like, oh, the checks are over there on the counter like you asked for. And I saw there was a white envelope and there was a stack of checks sitting there. And she said, what's Katie doing for you? And I thought we'd already addressed it, but she's working at the office, and I'm like, no, I told you she's not. She's like, well, $1,000 a month is a lot of money to pay somebody. And she's like, what exactly is she doing for you? And I said, it's a long story. And then she said, well, I'm your mom, like, tell me. Like, don't just tell me it's a long story. So this time she was like, and I was face to face with her, and she was more persistent in asking me, you know, what the heck's going on? Are you still dating her? And I'm like, no, we're definitely not dating anymore. She's like, well, why are you giving her $1,000 a month? This makes no sense.
What happened next?
I told my mom, you know, I wanted to tell somebody, because if I get killed, at least somebody will know where to look or what it could have been about. So I wanted my mom to know what happened, but I also didn't want her saying anything to anybody. So I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you something, but I never want to talk about it again. I never want you to talk to me about it on the phone. Don't talk about it anywhere. And please, whatever you do not say anything to Dad. Do not say anything to Wendy. Do not try to make me go to the police, because I'm not going. You got to promise me all that, and then I'll tell you.
And what did you tell your mom?
I told her that the night of the 18th, I got extorted for $250,000.
How did your mom react?
She flipped out. She's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what is this about? Like, you know who killed Dan?
What did she want to do?
She wanted to go to the police.
And what did you tell her?
I said, absolutely not. I said, it's not going to bring Dan back. I go, you're just going to end up getting me killed, or they'll come after somebody in the family.
What was agreed upon between you and your mom that evening?
That she was never going to say anything to anybody.
How about to your dad?
That not my dad, not my sister.
Why were you so persistent with your mom that she couldn't tell your dad or your sister?
Because I thought they'd go to the police. I didn't think there'd be any way to stop them. These people told me that. I mean, I was told the night of the extortion, you got 48 hours to pay up or you're going to get killed. Like, these people were not messing around.
Now,
yeah, you can tell from the timbre in my voice how serious this was. These people, they are not messing around.
your mom gives you the checks, the first set of checks.
Michelle asks, so is Donna going to go along with this story at her trial? They're very much entwined. I mean, entwined, whatever. They're very much, I don't see her straying from it. You know? too far at all. But, you know, I think Donna knows that her only shot is getting a jury member to feel sorry for her. I'm too old to convict. What's the point? I'll be dead in 3 years, you know. In many ways, it doesn't really matter. But I don't see her, you know. Of course, it's possible that she could have a completely different story that doesn't align with Charlie's defense at all. It's her own trial. You know? But I see her pretty much going along with this, yeah. In the main.
Yes.
That day?
Yes.
And do you remember what month that was?
That was in September.
After she gave you those checks, would you periodically have to meet with your mom and get more checks?
Yeah, but not. I didn't even realize the staff got paid bi-weekly, so they got their checks every 2 weeks. So when I'd asked her for 4 or 5 checks, I was thinking like that would be good for the month.
It will be less. She'll have a lot more. I don't know anything about that than what Charlie was able to do, because she's on less pieces of evidence. You know, of the stuff that involves Donna directly from Charlie's trial, evidence-wise, we've got the bump video. So we've got the bump video. We've got her post-bump wiretaps with Charlie. We've got the checks to Katie, written by Donna. What else? Bump. We've got Donna Adelson's emails to Wendy around the divorce. We've got... Well, there's some peripheral things like Sarah Youssef's statement, if that's allowed to come in. Of course, there was a motion in limine request from the defense to not allow that in. But where at, I think it was Ben's birthday shortly after the murder, 9 days after the murder, Sarah Youssef reported that Donna Adelson said to her, 9 days after the guy was fucking murdered, right? Said to her, oh, everyone's acting like he was a beloved professor, but he was a jerk. Which is just so stupid. You know? It would have served Donna's purpose so much better if she could put all of those psychotic feelings to one side for a few weeks and just pretend like, oh, it's terrible what's happened to Dan, you know. Oh, you know, we didn't get on. We didn't get on, especially after Wendy's divorce. We weren't getting on, but you know, you just never wish for someone to go that young and in such a horrific way. And the boys, they've lost their dad who they loved. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. No, she can't suck it up and pretend to act like that 9 days after the fucking murder. She's got to go to Sarah Youssef and say, everybody's acting like he was a beloved professor, but you know what? He was a jerk. I mean, unbelievable, right? That you're not fucking right in the head. If you can't keep a lid on those feelings for 9 fucking days for the sole purpose of presenting like a normal person when there's this suspicious murder following a contentious divorce, vicious emails and all the rest of it. If you can't keep the fucking lid on it, something's wrong in your fucking head, okay? Like, Jesus, what a joke. Anyway, the evidence against Donna that we know about from Charlie's trial: bump, post-bump calls with Charlie, probably the two of us, all that. Checks to Katie McBanawa, emails to Wendy around the divorce, peripheral statements. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Anything in the comments? Oh, there's all of the the Cellbrite stuff about the money drop. Charlie texting her to say, I'm 10 minutes away and all that, when they were on the way to drive to Tallahassee and stopped off at Charlie's to drop off the money. What else? Donna evidence that was presented in Charlie's trial. I think that's pretty much it, right? So with the bump and the post-bump calls, she's going to say, well, I said it was the two of us because I knew he was extorted and now I'm being extorted, so it's the two of us. That's the reference. Oh, there's another one with the pre-murder text messages and so on with Charlie about delete this message. I'm in the gas station restroom in Gainesville and call me when Dad's not around and all that, Of course, they just said, oh, we were planning the party. We were planning the paella chef. The checks, again, she's just going to say that Charlie told her to write the checks and he explained that it was for an extortion. She didn't like it, but she understood that she needed to do it to protect Charlie. The emails to Wendy, vicious emails. Well, she's just going to say, yeah, I was angry at Dan Markell. He was making my daughter's life a misery. He was blah, 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 but it doesn't mean I killed anyone. Yeah. But a lot of the evidence that was shown against Charlie, like the Dolce Vita recordings, his communications with Katie, so on and so on and so on, Donna can say, I don't know anything about that. Charlie didn't have that opportunity. He had a lot more things to explain away. Donna can be more ambiguous. So I think that's going to be the play, largely aligning with Charlie's story, but with more ambiguity than we've seen in Charlie's trial.
I didn't realize that was going to be 8-10 weeks.
Did your mom bring this subject up again?
She would ask me, are you okay? She asked me, do you need anything? She said, do you need money? I'm like, no, I don't want you guys getting involved. It's bad enough that I'm involved in this.
For the next 20 months, what did you do with regards to money and Katherine McBanawa?
Every single month, when I met her, I gave her $2,000 and the stack of checks to carry her forward.
And again, what did you think she was doing with those checks?
I thought she was cashing the checks and giving the $3,000 to her friend.
Now, we've heard a lot about gifts.
When do I think the trial will happen? If it doesn't happen in August, I think November. That's what I'm hoping for. That would be... That's when I'd like to come. August is a little soon, and frankly, I don't know if I want to visit Florida in August. November, let's do it.
We've heard about Lexus with 160,000 miles. We've heard about plane tickets. We've heard about, I guess, breast augmentation, but let's put that aside because I think that's a different category. We've heard about a whole host of gifts regarding...
Trying to flee to Vietnam, yeah. Well, obviously that didn't come up in Charlie's trial, but certainly will be mentioned.
Over the next 20 months, you giving a bunch of gifts to Katherine Magbanua. You recall that testimony in this courtroom?
Yes, I do.
The gifts that you gave to Katherine Magbanua, was that part of the extortion? Were those extortion payments?
No, not at all.
What were the gifts?
The gifts were me trying to keep Katie happy. And I didn't think Katie was any part of this extortion at all because she was constantly broke. I mean, she'd be hitting me up for $300. I mean, there's no way that she was getting that $3,000 and then asking me for $300 or running short on.
Even the wording is like, keep her happy. Keep her happy. Okay. So if I say I'm trying to keep someone happy, the implication is that they are experiencing some sort of hardship or strain on my behalf. So I got to keep them happy, right? It's in its nature, it is an exchange, right? So what is he getting that he feels he needs to keep Katie happy? And Charlie will say, well, I thought she was protecting me. I think you're protected by the fact that they're getting $3,000 a month for nothing and you still owe them $195K. No matter how many months that goes on for, you owe them $195K. I don't think you need to keep anyone happy. I think $3,000 a month for nothing is keeping everybody happy.
This or running short on that or can't pay a car bill.
So I want to make sure that we're crystal.
But again, my opinion is the help, for want of a better word, that Charlie was giving to Katie Magbanua post-murder. Excuse me. That he did not know that help he was giving her post-murder was in addition to her receiving a third, personally, of the $100,000 overall murder payment. I believe that Charlie Adelson was under the impression that $100,000 went to the person that actually did the murder. And Katie, as a finder's fee, was promised that she would be looked after basically carte blanche post-murder. You need some car repairs? Call me. You need $300 for your son's birthday? Call me. You want a fucking weekend away in this nice villa cottage on the fucking Key West? Call me, you know? Charlie didn't know that that was in addition to her receiving a third of the murder money. That's how it makes sense.
Clear here. The fact that she was always saying she was broke, did that make you more certain or less certain that she was not part of the extortion?
It made me more certain that there's no way that she's involved. I mean, she's telling the truth. The extortion never went up. I mean, she could have just raised the extortion payment instead of having to ask me for money. Every time she was asking me for money, I actually felt good. I felt like she wasn't part of it.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, I was giving her $3,000 a month, and what really took the edge off is when she would come back to me and ask for more money. It's so ludicrous, his defense, that it's like one of those weird dreams where you wake up and you don't know what the fuck is going on. It's just totally, it's like a Kurt Vonnegut novel. It's like Slaughterhouse-Five.
Showing you Defendant's Exhibit 56 and 57 for identification purposes only.
Just to further support that thing about Charlie not knowing Katie was getting a third, right? Charlie didn't know that there were two hitmen. It was news to him that Luis Rivera was involved when this finally came out. So if if all he thought he was dealing with was Katie, the middle woman, and the killer, presumably Sigfredo, what would he have assumed if he had assumed there would be a split? That they both get half? The hitman gets 50 grand and Katie gets 50 grand? For a finder's fee? No. He put $100,000 to the killer. The single killer. And I think, he had pretty good idea that it was Sigfredo. But I don't necessarily think that was specifically discussed pre-murder. Why would he need to know? I don't know. And Katie wasn't with Sigfredo at the time. I definitely think Charlie was under the impression that the $100,000 as a whole package was going to the killer alone, whoever that was, and that the agreement between him and Katie was like, look, when it gets done, trust me, I'm going to look after you real good. Car repairs, whatever. You want a cheap fucking Lexus? You got it, We'll find a way. You want checks from the office? We'll find a way. We'll look after you.
you recognize these text messages?
I do.
Is one of those text messages from December 2nd, 2014?
Yes, it is.
And is one of them from November 25, 2015?
Yes, it is.
Are these text messages, do you recognize them as being kept in your ordinary course of business?
Yeah, there was text messages from my phone.
Judge, I would move in these exhibits at this point in time.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are admitted at this time. Defense 56 and 57, I believe.
Yes. May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Geiger is like 450 years old already. Yeah, what a drag, huh? To spend your remaining golden years in and out of court. You know, I think I saw a Prius.
The first message is from December 2nd, 2014, Defendant's Exhibit 56.
Fucking Jeff. Jeff isn't far behind him, you know.
And Katie is, oh boy.
Just wait for it to read
Away. Do it a different way. You have to make everyone safe. Do you recall her asking for a favor that she needs to borrow from you in December of 2014?
Yes.
Do you recall in November of 2015, she's talking about how she's embarrassed because her credit card was declined?
At Old Navy, he said. Yeah.
Yeah, when Wendy, Patricia, Wendy is the most ruthless. I mean, that's, come on, what are you saying? Wendy is the most ruthless. I think Katie was just a moron. Greedy moron, playing people. I mean, yeah, sure. And she annoys people, I get it. But Wendy is, you know, she's the worst thing I've ever seen. I can't think of a single defendant or perpetrator of anything ever that would even come close to her level of whatever we want to call it. I don't know, but she's way the most ruthless. For sure.
Now, as time went on, let me back up. After the extortion, you break up with her,
Yes.
and you see her only once a month or so.
It was once a month, except for the occasion of maybe there was one other time, 1 or 2 times.
Now, your communications with her in August and September, and maybe the first part to most of October of 14, through text messaging, do they dwindle, stay the same, or go up?
No, I was trying to have limited contact with her.
And as time goes on, however, what happens to your relationship?
I become more sure that she's not part of the extortion at all. And it really what I was going by is how broke she was. There's no way she got all this money and she's so broke and she's still working we became friendly again. You know, our relationship was very different, but it was different but stronger.
Seafood or fish is kosher if they have fins and scales.
Because I needed her for my safety.
Okay. And so you've seen some of the emails, and I'm sure the state will show you a bunch of these emails in cross-examination where it's clear in the emails that you're learning a lot about each other, you're texting each other somewhat, you're talking as if you're friends.
We were friends. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. That ended. But she was protecting me.
Now, during this entire period of time,
Patricia Burns, I'm curious. Let me ask you a test question. I take it from what you're saying is that you believe that Katie McBanawa is more ruthless than Wendy Adelson. What can I ask you as the test question? That's difficult. I mean, I believe that Wendy Adelson does not have any conscience whatsoever. And I think she's probably the only person in this entire case that has zero conscience. I think Wendy Adelson is absolutely incapable of feeling guilty, ashamed for anything. Charlie might be close, but I think he's more of a human being. Donna might be close. She's a tough one. I mean, perhaps she's second place in my eye. You know, I can see Donna feeling something for the people that she favors. I can't see Wendy even feeling something for the people she favors. It's not there. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a test question.
before the bump, we're not at the bump yet. During this entire period of time,
Wow, I'm amazed at this sentence, Patricia. Katie is more ruthless than Wendy. I wish you could explain that to me in a way that I could understand why you think that. I mean, I read your comment here where it said, Katie had no beef with Dan, and she effectively orphaned her own kids and got her own family locked up by involving them. She is the worst. I mean, all I take from the example you've given here is that she lacked good judgment, was greedy, thought they'd get away with it. I think, just lack of foresight. You know, Wendy did all of that too, and much, much more. Yeah, well, it's...
Did she ever tell you who was extorting you?
No.
Did you have a pretty good idea of who it was, though?
I did. I absolutely did.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
We're all good with we've got no dropped frames here, guys. Sometimes people close the app and open it again and the stream's fine.
Before we get to the bump, yesterday we heard a call, which is SX130, where your mom and you are showing your love for Wendy's boyfriend, who she doesn't love, Dave. Do you recall that?
Dave, yeah.
Was your mom...
This is going to be a very strange and rare occasion where I might be defending Donna Adelson's actions. But Michelle says here, Donna taking off to Vietnam proves she cares far more about herself than the people she favors, in my opinion. Yeah, well, I'm sure she does. But, you know... I'm sure like her back was against the wall with that one. You know that you're going to be arrested. I mean, that was like a checked fact. So if you stay in the country, you're going to be in jail. It's absolutely certain that she could have done more for, quote unquote, the people she favors from Vietnam than from Tallahassee Detention Center. So her going to Vietnam would have been not only a benefit for her, but also for, you know, whatever it would be, right? Arranging things, making calls, sending money, whatever it is, you know. I mean, obviously, she'd have been able to do more from Vietnam than she would from jail. But I don't dispute that she's a selfish cow.
involved in Wendy's life?
Yeah, she was involved, but I mean, she cared a lot about her. I mean, she was her mom.
Now, during that call, you talk about how Professor Markel's death was a tragedy. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Did you have any idea at that point in time that you were being listened to by the police?
No idea. I was driving home and I was in the car for a long time, so I was just talking to my mom about everything.
Now, during that call, there is some discussion about Wendy winning the lottery. If you look at the context of the call in its entirety, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to meeting Dave. Dave was a one-of-a-kind catch guy that I liked him a lot. I guess I liked him more than my sister did. But he was a great catch. He was super successful. He used to work for a government agency. Sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. But most importantly, like, he really loved my sister. He really loved my nephews who aren't dad anymore. And I mean, I even on that call, I was talking about like a 6-year-old farting on his head. I was over there, and the kid was farting on his head, and he laughed, and it didn't bother him. So I thought he was a great guy. And he actually even met the Markells, Dan's parents.
Unbelievable, this guy. Unbelievable. Golfer Girl says Wendy is a sociopath. I think she's a psychopath, in my non-clinical opinion. This is a medical diagnosis. Let's have a look at the difference. Where's our picture? That's... Aha. Now we have it. So, psychopath, let's do sociopath first. Lack of remorse, but guilt and empathy may be present in some cases. All right, no, I don't see that in Wendy. There's no guilt or empathy in any case at all. Some emotions are felt, rage, okay, yes, but are shallow and fleeting. No. They're deep and ingrained. May form close attachments to one or few individuals. Not really. Not real attachments. She certainly, Jeff describes her as a social butterfly, right? But none of those are genuine close attachments. That's Wendy's harvest. Jane fucking McPherson. Al and Lynn Grossman. You think she gives a fuck about those people? No. They're assets, tools. Consistent irresponsibility and repeated violations of law. Yes, very much so. Constant lying and deception. Yes. Infinity constant. Aggressive and reckless behavior. Certainly aggressive, and I would say reckless as well. So definitely qualifies for some of those traits. Not the first one, not the second one, not the third one. So the beta 3 out of 6. Now, psychopath, lack of guilt, remorse, empathy. Yes. Pretending to feel emotions. Yes. Inability to form true emotional attachments. Yes. Tend to be successful. Well, yes, I suppose we have to give her that, even though I see that none of it whatsoever is based on genuine merit. Dishonesty, yeah. Manipulative behavior, narcissism, and superficial charm. You see what I mean, Golfer Girl? Wendy is 100% more at home in the blue category of psychopath here. And I know it's a fairly basic list of traits, but She scores 6 out of 6 on psychopath. To my mind, she scores 3 out of 6 on sociopath. She is so comfortable with this definition here, 100%.
Once with my sister when they were visiting the boys. I mean, he was just a great guy, and it was my sister's birthday. That's why there was so much chatter caught about Dave, because I don't think she was inviting him or something. So that's why he became a topic of conversation. And The Wire was from April, and my sister's birthday's in April. So those are probably the most amount of Dave calls I've ever had in my life. But the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
By the way, I saw you get a little emotional there. Do you love your nephews?
Of course.
I saw you get a little emotional there. Did you? Can we see it? What time are we? 1:07:25.
Dave calls I've ever had in my life, but the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
By the way,
Where was the emotion? Right, and go back almost a full minute, okay? Right, we're smiling.
But he was a.
We're talking about nephews farting on his head. We're talking about how successful Dave is. The next thing Daniel Rashbaum's going to say is, by the way, I just saw you get a little emotional there, but what is it that he's referring to? See if you can spot it.
Super successful. He used to work for a government agency. Sold his company for a tremendous amount of money. But most importantly, like, he really loved my sister. He really loved my nephews who don't have a dad anymore. And
Is that the emotion? Is that the emotion?
Even on that call, I was talking about like a 6-year-old farting on his head. I was over there, and the kid was farting on his head, and he laughed, and it didn't bother him. So I thought he was a great guy. He actually even met the Markells, Dan's parents, once with my sister when they were visiting the boys. I mean, he was just a great guy, and it was my sister's birthday. That's why there was so much chatter caught about Dave, because I don't think she was inviting him or something. So that's why he became a topic of conversation. And The Wire was from April, and my sister's birthday's in April. So those are probably the most amount of Dave calls I've ever had in my life. But the FBI captured a bunch of Dave calls.
by the way, I saw you get a little emotional there. Do you love your nephews?
Charlie Adelson can't remember about what. He's like, okay, shit, did I stray from the script? What was I emotional about? What was I supposed to be emotional about? Oh yeah, the nephews.
Would you ever take their father away from them?
No, never. Never in a million years.
Judge,
Never in a
we
million
approach
years.
this briefly.
You may.
So what's this, Lee? You say, who says? I say? You say they care about anyone when they're taking their own grandchildren farther away in their own demented mind, thinking that the kids will never know and have a better life, please. No, I don't think that. I don't think that. I said, that Wendy is the one that what 100% of any feeling is not present. I could say that about Charlie and Donna too, but it's quite a big thing to say, and I'm 100% confident to say it with Wendy. You know, But don't misunderstand me and think that I'm saying that Donna has feelings that aren't selfish. But Wendy's on another level. So what would that level be? I don't know. Ooh, blurry girls.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Stephen Everett presiding.
Everyone can be seated.
Ooh. Might be a good place to stop for the night.
Computer setup.
Before we bring in the jurors, there was one thing that I needed to address with the gallery. I believe during the testimony there was some head shaking going on. This is precisely the thing that I advised everyone about before. Regardless of your own personal opinion of what is coming from the witness stand, do not make any gestures, do not make any motions, do not move your head in a way that would otherwise suggest you agree or disagree. The jurors have to make up their minds based on the evidence. There cannot be any outside influence coming into that process. For anyone who cannot abide by this, the bailiffs are going to remove you. This is the last time I'm going to address this topic. Mr. Rauschbaum.
Judge, two things. First of all, I just need 1 second to set up the computer.
Go ahead.
And also, if we could approach on a new attempted exhibit.
This is from the prior composite.
Yes.
You may.
Given a copy to the state as well. And we've just taken portions of it that are quote unquote as court said relevant. Although our prior objections we will keep for the record.
Wendy did say that Dan and Jeff were the only people that really knew the true Wendy. No, Jeff made that observation. Jeff made that statement, and it wasn't repeating something that Wendy had said to him. It was his observation. He says over the last 10 or 12 years, the only people that have seen behind the curtain is Jeff, Markel, and maybe that Sack guy. That was Jeff. Wendy would never say that. Wendy would never say that. That was Jeff's opinion.
On this, I'm glad you brought that up because there was one additional matter I wanted to place on the record concerning the composites.
Everybody loves to listen to Judge Everett's voice to go to sleep. Maybe let's just take it up to get Charlie back on the stand. We're almost at 3 hours tonight, so we should. That's a good enough place to stop. I mean, fuck me. We might have to. Well, I don't know. I just really want to get on to some other stories, you know? This trial takes a long time to get through, and I don't know that I really want to do full trial watches, you know? I'd rather do, like, focused, well, we'll see.
As well. Given the composition of the jury, which contains certain members of a minority group which may find offensive subject matter that was in part contained in those composites, this is in part the court's ruling to protect the defendant from any unfair prejudice caused by either his words or the words of those communicating with him. As to the new edited version, does the state have a position?
Yes, Your Honor, I would raise the same objection, hearsay and relevance. These are text messages offered to prove that the defendant didn't text about the murder. There's been no allegation that he texted about the murder. It's not challenged. It's been testified to. This is exposing evidence to prove it.
Again with the hair. I mean, why has L'Oreal not been in touch? Garnier, or what's another one that advertises? It's just every single shot. I'm Georgia Kappelman, the woman with the best hair in the room. Every time.
It contains irrelevant hearsay, so I would object.
Rauschbaum, were these statements ever inquired with Ms. McBanawa or specifically presented to her?
Yes,
Which ones?
the one about the fight the day before, the ones about the fight the day before, but not kind of. I think the short answer is not directly. They're not going toward, our argument wouldn't be towards impeachment. Our argument would be going towards state of mind, Your Honor. Charlie Adelson's state of mind. I know that the state doesn't want the jury to be able to see the evidence, but it's the exact same evidence that they have put in regarding
Save it for them.
phone records.
Your audience of one on this topic is also an attorney. I understand these matters. All right. As to this specifically,
You see, what Judge Everett just said was basically, listen, buddy, who the fuck are you talking to? Don't patronize me, okay? But he said it in just such a nice way. Your audience on this subject is also an attorney. I understand these matters.
I know that the state doesn't want the jury to be able to see the evidence, but it's the exact same evidence that they have put in regarding
save it for them.
phone records.
Your audience of one on this topic is also an attorney. I understand these matters. All right. As to this specifically,
Beautiful judge.
the fight I will deem is admissible. The other portions, I'm still going to sustain the objection as to relevance and hearsay. The text on the fight, I believe this would be 7/18/2014. Starting at 13:09. And then those would end at 18:20.
Yeah, true that, Lee.
The other portions,
Absolutely.
prior ruling applies.
May I make one additional argument for the record?
Go ahead.
So the state has put in a phone record in which they talk about a pattern of calls. These emails explain why there are those pattern of calls. These text messages explain that. So for instance, they bring in calls on their sheet regard their CDRs on the evening of the 16th. Calls with Katherine McBanawa. Those calls relate to Mr. Adelson having dinner with Erica Johnson. It explains those calls. Similarly, they bring in calls on...
Pinto says, do you think the trial for Donna will happen in August? Well, you know, we've got the live motion hearing tomorrow. I think it's 9 o'clock Eastern, which we will cover live here on Metrix, obviously. Should be interesting. How long did they put? I think Amy's gone to sleep, but I think it's either an hour and a half or 2 hours and a half. So it's quite a substantial time chunk that they're going to be discussing case and everything. And with everything that's been going on recently, It should be very interesting. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and come back for that tomorrow morning.
On the 17th and 18th that relate to these text messages. In other words, the text messages explain. I'll give you an example. Call me ASAP, and then there's a call, right? So it gives context to their very evidence. It explains to the jury why these calls are happening. They're highly relevant, and to not allow it in, I think, is prejudicial against Mr. Adelson.
As it relates to the fight, I believe the 718 messages between himself and Miss McManawa cover that territory, do they not?
They do, but their argument is going to be that that's not what they're speaking about that night. The text messages are from the next day, right?
No one is going to be permitted on either side, excuse me, to present any factual issue out of proper context. Now, I believe, as it's been presented already through the direct, your client testified to them having a fight. This otherwise demonstrates his state of mind and shows what was going on the day of the murder, which is relevant. Getting further into the fight, which doesn't go to the elements or any other matter, why again is this relevant?
It's relevant because they have a chart that shows that Charlie calls Katie at 12:45 in the morning. I'm making up times. Katie calls Sigfredo at 12:50 in the morning. Charlie calls Katie. These text messages show what the calls are about. Now, I was able to ask my client the question on the stand. These text messages are corroboration for him.
Any further argument, Ms. Keppelman, as the context for the 716 texts?
Argument that text messages show what the content of a phone call was?
The context of what was happening on 716.
No, sir. I don't think we're disputing that they appeared to have had an argument on 716. I don't remember that being an issue in the case, so I'll stick with my prior objection.
Right, over the state's objection, the text between the defendant and Ms. McManawa will be admitted on 718. As far as the other texts, the court is not going to admit them on grounds of relevance and hearsay. Any other matters to address before the jurors come in?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Rauschbaum,
Computer working? I don't think so, Your Honor.
please bring in the jurors.
Should I have Mr. Adelson take the stand first?
Yes, come on up, Mr. Adelson.
You're entering the courtroom.
All right. And we will continue with that. We're at 1 hour, 16 and 56. We'll continue with that mañana. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Come back tomorrow for the Donna Adelson hearing live from the Tallahassee Leon County Courthouse, 9 a.m. Eastern, I think. Amy is the one with the details, and she's not here. But, I think it's 9 o'clock, yeah. So check it out, and thank you so much to the chatters and the super chatters and everybody else, the super coffee people, the super chatting sticker people, and all our members on the fantastic Discord and Patreon and everybody else as well. You're all great. We love you. And we'll be back with more of this soon. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Where's our outro? And the moderators. I forgot to thank the moderators. And our brand new, shiny moderator, Michelle.